Here at Tougas Farm we have about 30 acres of apple trees. We also have another 15 acres of peaches and some blueberries, all that need to be pruned at least one time a year. We're in the middle of the winter right now, actually getting close to spring, so it's a perfect time to be pruning. The reason that we prune is to maintain good fruit quality. That's the primary reason for pruning, and to maintain a balance within the tree between the vegetative growth and the apple production that's happening in the tree. So that's really what we have in mind. We're trying to open up the tree to allow the sunlight to enter into the tree. When the sunlight enters the tree, we get good fruit color, we get a healthy tree, we get good exchange of air within the tree when we open up the tree, so that diseases become less of a problem. So what we're looking at here is a Fuji apple tree, and this is a good example of a tree that is a bit out of balance, so that it needs a little bit of extra work. It's probably either cyan rooted or the root isn't really what we thought it was. We can control the size of the tree based on the type of root that we plant the variety on. And this should be a semi-dwarf tree. It's a little bit more vigorous than we like to see it. So you can see on this tree that there's quite a bit of non-productive growth. This, because it has no fruit buds on it, is non-productive. It's strictly vegetative. Where this branch here, you can see all of these fruit buds. This is where the apples will be next season, is on these fruit buds. So we need to maintain a balance between this vegetative growth and this fruiting wood. And so that's one of the goals that we have when we're pruning. This strong upright growth will this is last year's growth. From this point to the end is what actually grew last year. From this point back to, I'm going to say right to this point, is what grew 2 years ago, and it was pruned at that point. And so it really, as you can see, it's quite overly vigorous for the balance of the tree. So the first thing that I will do is remove that kind of growth. And immediately, by making a big cut like that, you can see there's already a higher proportion of productive wood to non-productive wood. I'll continue removing the non-productive wood. The other thing I'm looking at is my machinery, my mowers and all. The tree can't be so low that I can't fit the machinery underneath, and so I need to remove anything that's really low growing. If you look closely here, you'll see that the buds on the tree are relatively small, and the wood is, and the whole profile of the branch is smooth. And so I know that on this branch, from this point out, there basically are no fruit buds that would produce a crop next year. Possibility that on this dard that we'd get a flower right here. That's probably a flower bud there, and that will give us some fruit. Contrast that to this branch, where you can see that the buds are much fatter. All right, the buds are fatter, and they're extended on little what we call spurs. Okay, these are spurs, and these are certainly flower buds. And you can actually even see the stem left over from last year, from an apple, where the fruit was last year. And so this will be productive, this will be fruitful, where this will not be fruitful. The hormones that are in the terminal bud will suppress flower bud formation. And so if the bud is upright and gravity is allowed to take those hormones down, then you'll see a branch with little or no fruiting on it. If we bend the branch below horizontal so that gravity doesn't allow the hormones to go down as we have in this one, then we get good flower bud formation and we get good fruiting. And so we do spend a lot of time in the orchard training these trees to be, the branches to be below horizontal. And that's one of the tricks to encouraging fruiting in an apple tree, is to eliminate upright growth and encourage horizontal growth, which then in turn encourages fruiting. We want the tree to be narrower on the top of the tree than it is at the bottom of the tree, because that will allow for better light distribution within the tree. And again, we're just trying to simplify these branches. And by simplifying the branches, we get less shading. We try to make our cuts fairly flush, but we want a little bit of a stub here because it will allow these weaker growing shoots to come out, like these here. If we have a number of these weaker growing shoots, these will quickly put on fruit. These will probably fruit in either this coming season or the next season. So again, this one is still going to need quite a bit of work. Get rid of these taller, stronger limbs on the top of the tree. And let's do some cleaning up. We really need to soften this. And then these upright, strongly upright branches like this need to be completely removed. By doing this, we can keep the tree within a relatively close spacing, and not have it crowd itself out. We need to make ways for our pickers to reach the fruit, and so we need what we call windows here. And this is by cutting back some branches here. We're going to allow people to be able to walk into the tree to pick the rest of the fruit. Otherwise, if there were all branches along the bottom here, you'd be standing back here trying to reach the fruit. By opening a window here, we can allow people to reach that fruit. Everybody, you know, if you took 10 growers and put them out in an orchard, the trees are going to be pruned 10 different ways. Everybody's got their own style, their own reasons for the way they prune the trees, and their own good and bad habits. I think once you understand the basic principles of letting light into the tree and air movement, then you just sort of prune according to that, and trying to contain the tree within the space that you've allotted for it by the spacing between the next tree and the next row, and you're basically going to have the idea. That's pretty good. That should produce still a couple of bushels of apples. So it'll work out just fine for us. We start around Christmas, and we will go through blooms, which is going to be usually bloom is second week of May. So we start the week before, around Christmas time, or right shortly around the first of the year. And you know, it depends on the snow cover and all the other work that we have to get done. Pruning is just one job for the winter, but you know, we have upwards of 40,000 trees to do, and we'll try to do the bulk of them. The two of us will try to do the bulk of them. These are mid-sized trees, so they take a little bit longer. The new way that we're planting, where the trees are really close, we'd actually have 3 trees in here where the skip is, and we keep the trees nice and tight and small, and we can walk over and take a look at those. They're actually a lot easier. Even though there's a lot more trees on an acre, the pruning is a lot more simple.